I'd like to do no more than 5 minutes, and then if we have time, since it's only 7, we might do another round. We'll see how you feel. So I think what we hold up our book, tell something about it, where you can get it, and you can put in chat if you like the link. And before you read, and after you say where to get your book and a little bit about it, then go ahead and read 3 poems that each fit on 1 page. Because obviously you don't want to read a 10-page poem, which is like 15 minutes or something. And so we'll go by that. And we'll go ahead and get started. Let's see, since Francine's not in her chair. Let's see.
I'm here.
You are? All right.
Yeah.
If you're new to this, well, not exactly a group because it's different every time, but if you feel like you want to say something about yourself as a poet, that's fine too. I think I'll start with Allan Johnston since this is an introduction for me. If you'd like to say a little something about yourself as a poet, or just talk about your latest book or something, and then go ahead and read 3 pieces that fit within.
Yeah, my name's Allan Johnston, as you said. Belinda, I know you from reading Skin Divers many years ago. And so that's how I sort of got connected into this group.
Yeah, that was the 80s, right?
80s, 70s, somewhere in there, yeah.
Oh my goodness, I love this. That's one of the good things about lasting so long or being around so long. Somebody from way back decades ago. I remember you from this or that.
Yeah.
Oh,
So yeah, that was great. I'll show 3 books. This is my most recent personal book. It's called Fable and Selected Poems from Shanti Arts. That was in 2022. And just this last month or so, we've been doing translations with my wife, Gilmet, of works by Abdelatif Labi from the French to the English. And so Shanti Arts, The Symphony of Resistance, which is selected poems. And then we also translated one of his new books, which is Presque Rien, which we translated as Near Nothings. And that came out through Dialogos Press in New Orleans. That's a bit about me. Other than that, I've been writing poetry certainly since the 70s and maybe even a bit before that. But that's kept me going. So I shall read at least one of my poems and one of the poems from the translation. And this is called Meditation on Bliss. A bit of history to the poem. The editor of Poetry East, I'm in Chicago, and they're at DePaul University where I've used to teach, was putting out an edition of Poetry East on bliss, and somebody wrote to him about this. He said, "What? This was during the Iraqi war. Why write about bliss? There's a war on." So people were questioning why he would want to bring out an issue of the magazine about bliss in the middle of a period of war. But unfortunately, there's always a war somewhere. So that's the way it goes. So this is my response to that prompt. War was invented by the flowers, as the English and Aztec knew. Lavenders attacked jacarandas with luscious scents and iodine. Soon the rhododendrons learned to poison the earth by opening blossoming empires of color. The bees made golden by pollen produced the honey that drove the foraging Macedonians mad in Alexander's campaign. Then petals fell in legion. Soon there were just the endless acts of blossoming holding the flowery world together. Bliss exists outside of time. It lives in eternal moments, inside and outside of war. It knows the bloom of dust borne up by the bullet that misses its mark and leaps in joy as the target stumbles beyond the sight. It is won and is always winning. It only demands complete surrender. So that's one poem. And I'll read as I said, one of the translations of the poems from Labi. I don't know if you know Abdel Latif Labi. He's a Moroccan poet, currently living in France. This is called Open Body. I take from the toolbox the necessary tools, cutter, hemp, thread, glue, and I open my body. The organs are all well in place. No suspicious color. The blood circulates without making too much noise. The size of the brain is less consequential than expected, that of the heart in the normal range. I search, but for what I have forgotten. I am here, my arms dangling before my open body without knowing how I will be able to close it. And then I'll choose one, also a translation from the other collection, Symphony of Resistance. Labi started a magazine or a journal in Morocco called Souffle, which translates as breaths, and it was central to the sort of the opening of Arabic consciousness at the time, even though it was published in French. And actually, once they started publishing it in Arabic, that's when he got in trouble. The Moroccan state police came along and arrested him for crimes of opinion, and he spent 8.5 years in jail in Morocco before being exiled to France. So that's a bit of context for this poem, which is called 4 Years. It's referring to his time in prison. Soon it will be 4 years. It's referring to his wife and children, by the way. Soon it will be 4 years. They tore me from you, from my friends, from my people. They tied me up, gagged me, bound my eyes. They forbid my palms, my name. They exiled me to an islet of concrete and rust. They pinned a number on the back of my absence. They forbade the books I love, the novels, the music. And to see you a quarter hour a week through 2 gates separated by a corridor, they were still there drinking the blood of our words with a stopwatch instead of a brain.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Linda Wlodyka. Okay, go ahead.
My name's Linda Wlodyka, but I go by Linda Bratcher Wlodyka for my book because that's my middle name, Bratcher. I live in Massachusetts. I've been writing seriously since about 2007, although I loved poetry all my life. This is my first full-length collected poems book, and I have 3 chapbooks that never really got an ISBN number because I self-published them through just a printing press. And they're, older ones from 2012 and earlier. And some of the poems that are in the collected book that I'm reading to you obviously did come from some of those chapbooks, but not too many of them. So I'm going to read a couple poems from this book and maybe one. What I did, and I want to know if others have done this. So you get a poem, you like it, you publish it, then you read the poem, and you get a prompt from some poetry reading, and then you change the poem slightly to meet the needs of another prompt. So I did that with one of my poems that's published because it had a COVID twist, and I feel like that really dates it. So I made it an environmental poem now because it lent to that idea. So I'm going to start out with Ode to the Beat Poets because I wrote this, I don't even know how many years ago, and I didn't consider myself a beat poet at that time. Ode to the Beat Poets. It's not the transient soul, meaning the bottom of your foot. It's the transient soul. It's not the tire that screeches, then implodes. It's not the stench of flesh baking in the sun, but the candy, sticky crunch. It's not a carafe of wine that leaves a grape stain, or that the Madonna's tongue is lily white. It's not how purity sings, but how grace flows, takes a hold, and endures. It's not anybody you know that leans over a 40th story balcony in Midtown Manhattan, or how a red line stains the pavement. It's not what you like or want or anything you can control. It's what hangs down from park trees and flagpoles, and what flaps from a car's antenna that sparks a light incandescent, blind, brighter than the brightest sun. It's everything far and near, here or there, that whispers the law of the land, that fences you in or fences you out, that taps you on the shoulder and pushes you into the confines of four walls with murals, ugly yet exotic, with fading streaks tugging at your soul. It's exhilarating to 100 miles per hour on a straight stretch of highway after exiting the foothills of the Rocky Mountains, traveling with a convertible top down and a black 1958 T-Bird racing onward through sand, cacti, tumbleweed, Las Vegas, then into Northern California, where San Francisco's Bay's 5 stares you down, wipes the mud from the soles of your dirty feet, then shines.
All right.
So that's kind of a beat style poem for sure. Okay, let's see. So this is an ekphrastic poem about a poster that I saw on a poetry site, and when they were looking for people to put a poem with these, some of them were photos, some of them were like, basically sketched, and others were actually pictures. So this man had the word matter all superimposed on itself in black and white. So I decided to enter the contest. I didn't win it, but this is the poem that came out of it. It's what the sign says, ekphrastic from Sidney Gauthier's art form titled Hierarchy. The sign's message, one duplicated word superimposed upon itself like dead matter, makes it clear the black ink leaves smatter. The artwork evokes untold chatter. An ability to stay politically correct, is that what really matters? Why did it lead to a throng who scatters? Don't allow an obscene blather. Don't leave a body in a tatter. This message was not meant to go rogue or shatter. The sign repeats, gets exponentially fatter. A message to enhance the ages, offers advice like sages. Located on a map, no more cages, no blame or digressions, no reason for enrages. Let the sign sing with a multitude of voices. It's a civil liberty, deserving of all people's rejoices. It's because Gauthier's art form hierarchy was created. It moved me like the poetry of Amanda Gorman. The word matter, just a prompt to try and explore it. Here I write and expound on ideas, notions. All I'm really trying to emphasize is dignity, devotion.
All right.
So I'll read you the one, Like Mirrors in the House of Fun, which is published with a COVID twist, and I changed it into an environmental twist. So I'll read the latest version. Like Mirrors in the House of Fun. It was not the rim's edge, or sylvan silver trail, or icicles dripping a rivulet, nor was it the slush enveloping. It was more like snowdrifts billowing in concentric patterns, like an embellishment, claw of crow, paw of hare, wing of hawk, imprint their images like a template. The shimmer of day star crystallizing, cold thaw, earth a prism like mirrors in the house of fun. It reflects, it refracts, illuminates. Naked unearthing, moistness, breathy, wets and washes, all that is sorted, touches down. On the rim's edge, slush envelops like hushed wings, embracing Gaia. Warm breezes, calm, pokes, while the globe spins, pivots, races its own reflection at risk. Like the frequent avalanches, earthquakes, mudslides, snow and lava rivers, humanity's future now dangles at the edge of human existence. Meanwhile, the House of Fun's jagged mirrors shatter into the sea.
Oh,
Thank you.
okay.
Great.
Next up, Francine Witte.
Thank you so much. Hi, I'm Francine Witte. I live in New York City, and I write poetry and flash fiction. Flash fiction being, usually short, very short fiction under 1,000 words, but with a very poetic, very compressed sensibility to it. My latest book of flash fiction is Radio Water, and it was published by Roadside Press. And my book Theory of Flesh was published by Kelsey as book poems. But I'm going to read from an upcoming poetry manuscript that's going to be published sometime later in the year by Trevena Barber Press, called Some Distant Pin of Light. And these are 2 prose poems and a lineated poem. Okay. First one. Where did you go? I went thin as pears, all sliced up and see-through. I went halfway to happy. I went to a place where I don't have to answer. I went sniff in the air. I went to the arms of another. I went bent as bones. I went to a job without a computer, where I stand in a field and the sun wets my back. I went behind the numbers on a wristwatch. I went hundreds of miles from your eyes. I went all unmarriage and you cannot stop me. I went where your questions stop smack in the air and long before they can get to my ears. I went to before I even know you, that spot in the morning about to begin, that curl of a mouth turning into a smile, that moment a flower opens up like a hand.
All right.
Thank you. Next is a prose poem called Things. My life is filled with things, red things, square things, things I sit on, things to help me eat. Things are everywhere, and since they are, I can't escape them. One time I tried giving up things for an hour, said to myself, don't look, don't touch. I tried turning myself into air, a breeze, a waft across a lavender room. When that didn't work, because how could it? I realized that things had won. Only one way to go. I had to become a thing. I sat down on my sofa thing. I called out some words, which are also a thing. Told the world to come get me. Use me to scrape a potato. Use me to paint a wall. Do whatever it takes to make the want of me grow in your eyes. For me to be the thing you need.
Wow.
And the last one, thank you, is a more traditional lined poem. It's called The River's Wife. Each night, I ask him if he still loves me. He tells me instead how he started, handfuls of rain and mountain streams, how it trickled into a muscled flow. I ask him again, and that's when he goes back to hiss and spin. I give up and head home, lonely, cutting my feet on scrags of rocks and fallen twigs. Some nights I wake up, go to the kitchen, turn on the faucet full blast, water fingers lacing my own. My father warned me, said that the river is made up of tears from all the fish that never made it out to sea. He said he was a river once, a foaming, raging twist of a man who lured my mother from the banks, how she gave up girl-like to his tumble and roar, how I myself am part river, how if I listen close enough, I can hear the whoosh that is louder than the beating of my heart. Thank
Thank you
you.
very much.
Thank you.
Okay, John Compton.
Well, hello. My name's John Compton. I'm gonna be reading from my new book, Melancholy Arcadia. And it came out 10 days ago, I think. Let's see. Yeah, 10 days ago from Small Harbor Publishing. And I had to check because they also use Harbor Edition, and I always get mixed up with Allison Blevins. And I just want to say too, the cover is by Janet Lees. And I just want to shout out because she's a phenomenal photographer and poet, and she let me use her photography for my book, and it was a big honor. She's overseas, and everything. She's lovely. So anyhow, I'm gonna read 3 little poems. This one's called Sea Turtle Titanic, and it's about like the time I went to Florida like 20 plus years ago, and there was this horrendous smell. And of course, I'm from the country, and we're like, oh, what's that smell coming from? So we wandered down the beach, and there was this sea turtle, and it was the size of um v- uh the big car, and it had the wooden sides, and from like the 80s, and they have it now, but it's not as cool. It was big giant, I forget what it's called, station wagon. It was the size of a station wagon, the older models, not the newer models. Newer models are horrible. So it was huge and very dead. So it's called Sea Turtle Titanic. Attract a downwind odor. The ocean had not washed away its death, but pushed the masticated corpse onto the beach and hastily retreated. The shell rife with putrefaction. Waves become languid near the carcass as things registered the decay. Small crabs left the body like a multitude of clots. And that's that poem. And thank you. And the next poem is titled Bombarder. A drop of water like an atomic bomb plummeted to my page. Up came a plume in the weave of fibers. Villagers of ink smeared awash. My heart murmured, my breath hooked my throat. And that's that poem. Thank you. And my phone acts correctly. And I'm going to read a very tiny little poem. People seem to enjoy this one. When you realize and just breathe. I sit like a patient Buddha waiting for the butterflies to realize I am not a flower. And that's the last poem. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, Jose Varela.
Well, thank you for inviting me, Belinda. I've had the pleasure of meeting Belinda live and drumming with her and enjoying our El Paso, Texas sort of combined histories. And so it's wonderful. I am basically a word whittler. I don't consider myself necessarily a poet. I mean, you guys are poets. You guys work at it. You do it. I came into this because I basically have always loved words. And for much of my career, I used those words to create closing arguments for people. And I also wrote commentary for newspapers and things like that. But poetry was something that I had always loved reading, but I just liked words, and so I consider myself a word whittler. The two poems that I'm going to be reading to you, one's a little longer, are really just sort of the way I try to look at things. Like most of you, our hearts are in the details. You know, poets see things that oftentimes others don't because of the clarity of the microscope emotions that you're able to hone into. And I love everything that's been read so far. I mean, I just really have enjoyed it. And so this first one is actually an introductory poem to my next book called The Dust of Recent History. And this is kind of like an introductory poem to lead the reader into where I'm trying to go with this kind of detail. We will all return to dust, whether stardust or dust in the soil. As a writer, I dust around the fixtures of daily life. I shake out the dust. I hate to throw it out. The clean surface, while pretty to the eye, lacks dirt. Dust and dirt, the gossamer curtains of days and nights. Wearing the dirt of my adventure is a fashion I prefer. Words of present business fade away into waiting baskets. The work and toil of dusted dirt is worth the extra mile. Feel the life, worry, and troubles embedded in settled soil. It is on the dusty and dirty trail that one finds the true tale.
Thank you.
And this one is called Elder Days. And it's the reality of, for me, as I'm enjoying these elder days. And John is right. These elder days are very cool. You'll really enjoy them, John, because you're gonna get there with having had the foresight to know how valuable they are. Elder days are flying past me. Elder time moves so much faster. Seconds pass in milliseconds as the sand pours out at a perceived greater rate. Unlike the youthful days where we risked all on wages of emotional toll that were easier paid because the effort bore little real consequence, time just like air seemed to be there. Elder days involve the joy of surrender and light loads, admissions of ignorance, invitations to explore more, and still those whose youthful days were filled with trauma relieve its horror. And for those in pain, I commiserate, but cannot take on the battles fought and lost by others and ones I was not drafted to defend. I walk along the streets of North Beach, the alleys of Chinatown, and stretches of Ocean Beach and the marina. I stop on benches and I absorb the sunlight into weary bones and chalk outline memories. As people pass, I open my life and I open up my life and pretend to talk to them and give away my memories like seed to the flocking seagulls at my feet. I give away grief to the stranger on the corner who seemed to need it more than me. I give away regret to the angry boy who yelled at people who did not look like him. I give away blind ambition to those who later lament their sad inability to truly enjoy and see. I give away much of the baggage that stored the marks of defeat and victories now amounting to so little. I run naked into the crashing waves and yell in primal scaling, a life well lived needs so little. Think, elder days will see my selfish charity as I wake and throw off old ideas for the dwindling promises of dwindling tomorrows. So thank you.
Thank you. Okay, Beth Copeland.
Hi, everybody. Hi, Belinda. Thanks for this opportunity. It's been wonderful to listen to everybody else reading. I'm going to just briefly talk about this new manuscript. This new book that I have is called Shibori Blue, 36 Views of the Peak. It's a collection of photographs and poems. So it's kind of a different thing for me. I don't consider myself a photographer by any stretch of the imagination. I've never taken a photography class. And these are all just photographs that were taken with my iPhone. About 5 years ago, I moved to the Blue Ridge Mountains, and I live not far from where Belinda grew up, I think, if I'm not mistaken. And I bought a house. I was fortunate to find a house that has a beautiful mountain view. And the name of the mountain is The Peak. People are always asking me, what's the name of the mountain? And I say The Peak. And they're like, no, what's its name? And, but it's not a very poetic name for a mountain. And it's the tallest mountain in Ashe County, North Carolina, where I live. So after I moved here, I would go outside at sunrise, sunset, sometimes during the middle of the day, and just take pictures. And I would post those pictures on Facebook to share with my friends. And sometimes people would say, it looks like Mount Fuji. And it's not an active volcano like Mount Fuji, but it does have kind of a little dimple at the top of it. So when you're looking at the mountain from my deck, it does have kind of the same symmetry that Mount Fuji has. If you look at it from a different location, it doesn't resemble Mount Fuji at all, and that's one of the things about mountains is, they change. So another friend of mine told me, your mountain, you should write 36 poems about your mountain. And I was like, well, why 36? And he said, because the Japanese artist Hokusai published a folio of 36 prints of Mount Fuji, and you should do the same thing for your mountain. So I have to give my friend Mark Berman credit for, the concept behind the book. I didn't come up with that idea, but I think it's a brilliant one. So since I was riffing off of Hokusai, I decided to write tanka to accompany the poems. And the word shibori is also Japanese, and it's a word for an intricate form of tie-dye. And the title, this is the photograph that gave me the idea for shibori, because I thought the clouds resembled tie-dye. So I'm just going to read one of the tanka. And this is a spring poem. And here is the photograph that it's referring to. Blue stratus clouds resemble a mountain range seen from a distance. The mirrored eye, a mirage. We see rivers in the rain.
You're going to read some more, right?
That wasn't 5 minutes.
Go ahead and read another one. They're so short.
They are short. I just wanted to be careful about not reading. Well, okay, I'll read one. This is
Oh, beautiful.
the orangey one. Dragon Breath Sunrise. Was the mountain forged in fire or from tectonic plates colliding? The peak is older than dinosaur bones.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much. And I enjoyed that long description. That helped a lot to understand your book. Dane Ince. And he and Mercedes also writes some Japanese forms. Hi, Dane.
Yes, hi. Sorry that I was tardy and the echo thing. We're sitting at the same table right next to each other, and it's Zoom doesn't like that somehow or another. So I'm going to read something, and then Mercedes is going to read some Tonkas. And I started, the 30-30, the challenge, the April Poetry Month, writing some prompts, and then I found myself, going ahead and writing to those prompts, as well as sharing the prompts for everybody else to write to on Facebook. And so I decided that I would write all form poems for this challenge. In a moment of grace, with you, I touch fingertips. Summer rain and memory, no enduring trace, like circles concentric, each reaching to the other to say, I love you, lips on lips. In a moment of grace, you and I touch fingertips. Each day we trace together, pouring out nectar sips, dreams, whispers, sacred moments, lace a love electric. In a moment of grace, you and I touch fingertips. Summer rain and memory, no enduring trace, like circles concentric. This next piece is called Moonful. When a 9-year-old's mother is murdered in front of them, shot through a door, the bombs burst the dam. Now the town is flooded. You bring me teenage angst like it's the Eucharist, like standing on tippy toes, puff up your chest, claim to be 5 feet 8 inches when you were 5 feet 7 inches. The rich, famous podcaster, the wannabe poet, nostalgia. Claims lights of Poe, Kerouac without a single drop of rain. I grow weary of my need to help more than I are weary of me as well. I do not come to you for a solution. The one who rescues is the one who needs saving. I wish you would let me take care. It's a need. Testicular assertion of manhood come across as embarrassing. Personality poison. Each self-absorbed one, perhaps the best, are considering that path over there, far away from cooties, self-pity, the lost, the rest. I have no answers. I find no peace in this mournful life, full of eclipsing moons, heartache. I had a life before and before and before, as dry as sandy dirt road. I'm fresh out of ideas why anyone would want lost thread, paper clips, dust in the corner. At some point, it's futile to ask for more. He said, see that shimmer? I think sometimes I see things that no one else does, feeling flat, Crickets complain after dusk, fireflies, Milky Way, whisper of what was crumbles. Cats complain, and I do not understand that I do not understand. But a while ago, he read his poem about the wheel, mumble through flame red ginger beard. The kitchen denizen traded in his good humor white jacket, hounds two slacks for standard issue beat black, and willow long-haired company, hands held, walking north on the avenue. The artist's stride came with confidence of the once diffident dishwasher sneer. Ah, nostalgia, wretched food poisoning. I will try to keep it to myself, but the big spit will not be denied. And before I had a life I had before, the drawer is waiting for me to empty it, waiting to be. It is terrible. I love to watch the fake aquarium on the Roku, on the CGI TV. No, so many do not have the peace. Watching tropical fish swim in warm CGI water, waiting to be. The drawer is waiting for me to empty it. A life I had before, and before I had a life. But big spit will not be denied. I will try to keep it to myself. Wretched food poisoning. Ah, nostalgia of the once diffident dishwasher sneer. The artist's stride came with confidence, and willow long-haired company, hands held, walking north on the avenue for standard issue beat black, hounds tooth slacks. The kitchen denizen traded in his good humor white jacket, mumble through flame red ginger beard. He read his poem about the wheel, but a while ago, that I do not understand. Cats complain that I do not understand. Whisper of what crumbles, Milky Way, fireflies, crickets complain after dusk, feeling flat. I think sometimes I see things that no one else does. He said, see that shimmer? At some point, it's futile to ask for more. Dust in the corner, paper clips, a lost thread, why anyone would want. I am fresh out of ideas, as dry as sandy dirt road, and before I had a life before, headache, heartache, full of eclipsing moons. In this mournful life, I find no peace. Have no answer. The rest, the loss, self-pity, far away from cooties over there, are considering that path perhaps the best. Every self-absorbed one, personality poison, comes across as embarrassing. Testicular assertion of manhood. It is a need. I wish you would let me take care. The one who rescues is the one who needs saving. I do not come to you for a solution. Are wary of me as well more than I grow weary of my need to help without a single drop of rain. Kerouac claims lights of Poe, the wannabe poet, the rich famous podcaster claims to be 5 feet 8 inches when you are 5 feet 7 inches. Buff up your chest, stand on tippy toes like it is the Eucharist. You bring me teenage angst. Now the town is flooded. Bombs burst the dam, shot through the door, is murdered in front of them. When a 9-year-old's mother is shot in front of her kids, it's terrible. This is Hunger Moon. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Okay, Mercedes Duggar.
If I am your muse, my most beautiful poet, then I am content, knowing I am in your thoughts, even as you have my heart. I would be honored to be treasured and valued like a muse to you. Let me be like Erato, meaning lovely and desired. You spark my desire simply by looking at me, captivating man. Your voice like a melody that is felt more so than heard. Hypnotized, I stare. Laptop screen, my Palantir. Your visage beckons. Visceral and instinctive reactions overtake me. What is the secret to your enchantment of me? A sweet love potion could not have worked its magic more effectively than this. Logic and reason Both wage a futile battle to reign in my heart. My intellect is useless as I sit in thrall to you. My Dionysus, I love you with abandon, holy ecstasy. Merriment does fill our days. Let us celebrate this life. Not wanting to waste another day of my life, I went to seek love. By chance or fate, I met you, and I knew my search was over. It did not take long to know that you are the one, great love of my life. Day and night we make sweet love. Cats are silent witnesses. Thank you.
Okay, do you want to show the book you're reading from?
Lean back.
No.
We'll put it in the chat.
Oh, there we
Oh,
go.
okay, and if you'd like, go ahead and put the link to that in the chat.
Yes, Dane will put the link in the chat. Thank you, Belinda, so much.
All right, I think that everybody's had a chance. So, as I showed you before, this is my new book from Roadside Press, Full Moon Midnight. And since I like to paint, and I'm probably doing a little bit more of that than writing lately, I'll read 3 short pieces that pertain to painting. Whoops. All righty. Okay. What a picture is worth. I want to write, create an atmosphere, but the alphabet fails me. I approach color instead. My hand moves over a substrate, holding a brush, a cotton swab, a steel ball on a stick, or nothing at all, just hands manipulating color like a child before it's criticized, back to normal. I am happy in this play and continue until satisfied. Then I share with you my excitement with color, my poetic depiction, my 1,000 words. Homage to Dali. Our remains nourish the earth and all that grows. We're all part vegetable as well as flesh. Thought cauliflowers sprout into space as the brain shrinks. The big picture is a feast with unlimited choices. Time is butter. Homage to Van Gogh. I break the seal on an artist's canvas. A child sings in the background. The neighbor's dog watches as my cat slinks by. Slowly shrinking to infinity, eye beams connect to everything. Music tingles the feet. Rain falls from the stars. Oars expand to feel the heart of the universe. I paint. Okay. All righty. I think we've all had a chance, and I think we've used close to an hour. Are we all good? All right, and you might want to take a second to look at the links in the chat. And I'll be having a reading about once a month, so I'll be announcing at the gas group in a couple of weeks who would like to join that. And thank you all so much. I'm honored to have you all here, and I enjoyed all your poems. And so we'll say goodbye now. All right.
Hi, thanks.
And I hope to see y'all again. And y'all are always welcome to join. Okay. Bye-bye.